Hello, children. We are back talking about the Star Wars saga, galaxy, ships blowing up, people with breathing problems. You get the joke. You get the vibe. So we are here today talking about the conclusion to the original trilogy, Star Wars Episode 6: Return of the Jedi. And it's good. Not great. It's good. What do you guys think of Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, I more or less agree. It's I was really invested in like the first half of it, but like until like the very ending, it was just kind of
the second act in this movie really hurts this movie. We're gonna go through it. So right off the bat, the first shot of the movie immediately tells us that the Empire has made another Death Star. Now, people have complained about this. People have said, oh, it makes no fucking sense how the Empire made a whole Death Star in a year, and meanwhile, it took them whatever the time jump was between Episode 3 and Episode 4. To which I say, I don't know why you're getting upset, because it's technically not a whole Death Star. It's part of a Death Star. So, yes, it's functional, but I don't think it can do what the Death Star in A New Hope did. With that being said, I don't like how this movie is just like, oh yeah, they have another Death Star. I don't know. It's kind of stupid. The first appearance of the Emperor is fucking awesome. He literally just comes in and you're like, oh my god, like, this guy's fucking, you know, like, oh shit, he's about to fuck some shit up. Then we get to Tatooine and we see R2 and C-3PO going around and shit. And they're trying to get into Jabba's palace, and they do, and then we get our official first look at Jabba the Hutt. Fuck you, George Lucas, for A New Hope. And Jabba the Hutt looks fantastic. In this form, he looks fantastic. Practical, you know, I want to know how they made that, because he looks damn great. So then we get a message from Luke, and immediately from the first shot of Luke in this hologram, you can tell immediately he's a Jedi Master, or he's gotten better. Now, I want to compare Luke to Rey in Rise of Skywalker, because essentially that's what we're looking at here. The reason that I don't like Rey in Rise of Skywalker is because she has God mode on the whole movie. She takes no damage and has all of these powers without explanation. In this movie, Luke isn't OP. He's smarter and he's wiser, but he's not over here shooting fucking force lightning out of his asshole. And he's not over here doing all these crazy things that are unbelievable. Everything he does in this movie is believable. We'll talk about that in the third act, but everything that happens in this movie is believable. You never say, like, when you're watching Luke, you never say, oh, that's bullshit, how did he learn that? The only thing that he does in this movie that he didn't do before was probably a force choke. That was really it. Other than that, and the mind trick. But nobody gives a shit about a mind trick. But really, that's really everything that happens in terms of everything new Luke does. Other than that, everything that Luke does in this movie is built off of Empire, and that's why I love the character of Luke. You know, because his character arc from all three movies is fantastic. It goes from him being this whiny kid on Tatooine to realizing that there's more in the world than just living on one planet for the rest of your life. You can do so much more, and you know. And then he learns the lesson in Empire of, you know, there's some things that you can't beat. Like, you can't go based off instinct. You need to go based off, like, knowledge and shit. At least that's what I think the lesson of Empire is. And then you get to Return of the Jedi, and he has that knowledge. You know, I love it. So, one complaint I have about this movie, the beginning is way slower than Empire. You look at Empire Strikes Back, it's fast-paced, it's moving, you got the great Battle of Hoth, it's amazing. This movie is, oh, we gotta get Han, you know, from Tatooine, from Jabba's palace. And I'm okay with that, it's just, the movie takes a long time to get there. You know, it's just build up. Oh, it's finally happening. So then we get a dance sequence with some lovely effects from Mr. George Lucas. I want to know what this man's mission was when he was doing these special editions. It had to have been like, because realistically he's messing with other people's work, because it's not his movie. The only movie he directed before the prequels was episode 4. He's messing with other people's work. It's like literally if I saw the Mona Lisa and I took a shit on it. That's what that's like. I don't understand what was the point of that. But regardless, we get the music and the dancing is, you know, great. I love the I love it. You know, that's iconic shit. The creatures look great, you know, but the CGI looks terrible. This fucking CGI creatures over here dancing in where her fucking oh my god, what is that animal that captures ants with the long ass tongue? I'm oh my god. I'm trying to think.
Don't remember.
No, it's not like a Star Wars thing. There's like a real animal in real life that like has a long. I don't know. You guys probably, I probably painted the image great. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. But, regardless, you know, moving on. I don't really want to talk about shitty CGI anymore. So, what was I gonna say? So then Boba Fett, they also show shots of Boba Fett, and he's just hanging out. It looked funny to me. I don't know. Then we see some bounty hunter and Chewie, and then they show Lando, which looked cringy as hell. Like, he literally just pulls his mask down. He's like, oh yeah, I'm here. I don't know, it was corny as fuck. So then the bounty hunter is revealed to be Leia, and it was adorable seeing, you know, Leia rescue Han. The line is great when he goes, oh, who are you? And she goes, someone who loves you. I was like, oh, I love her so much. God, I fucking miss her. So then this leads us to Slave Leia. I'm not even gonna comment on Slave Leia. Just gonna say that it's a little bit weird, but I get what they're going for. I don't know. No comment. Moving on. This leads to Han and Chewie getting reunited, and you know, it's adorable as usual. Chewie is again a highlight of these movies.
Why is he not a highlight?
Exactly. He's like Iron Man in every Marvel movie. You cannot hate on him. So then this brings us to Luke going to Jabba's palace, and he basically threatening Jabba the Hutt, which I don't know why he's threatening to kill him. That's a little extreme, but he threatens him. Then we get a fight with Luke and a monster, which the effects look fantastic. The effects look fantastic on this monster. The practical effects look so good. I want to know how they did that. That is definitely one, you know, design that I want to know how they did the effects for that. So then we get a hilarious line from Han and Luke. They're on a ship, whatever. They're going to the execution scene. And Luke goes, oh, I used to live here, you know? And then Han goes, you're gonna die here, you know? I fucking cried. I died of laughter. Harrison Ford is a dick. in the best way. So they're planning on executing Luke or whatever, and they go south because, you know, the good guys have to win. It's 20 minutes into the movie. And then we get probably one of the worst deaths in cinema history. Boba Fett fucking dies in the dumbest way possible. Now, I understand why it happened. I understand that Han was blind and he killed him. But the way it happened was so fucking stupid. Literally, he just gets knocked over, he's like, ah, and fucking falls into that stupid monster and gets eaten. It was so stupid. I hate it. I hate it. I've never liked the way he dies. First of all, why did Boba Fett have to die to begin with? I don't understand. What do you mean?
I don't think he never deserved to die. If he deserved, if he had to die in episode 6, it should have been like a much more epic way, because he's a really good character.
Or have Han kill him in a better way, like.
Yeah, instead of like being like, oh, hope you died. Oh, sorry, Boba Fett.
So then, this brings us to a scene with Yoda, and long story short, he's just telling Yoda, oh, why didn't you tell me about Vader or whatever? And he was like, oh, I didn't want to. He gave him some shit excuse, like, oh, I didn't want to tell you the truth or some shit. I don't know.
Couldn't handle the truth.
Which, like, that's pretty serious. You know, that's not like hiding, you know, the last cookie in the cookie jar, Yoda. That's pretty serious. So then, this brings us to Yoda and Obi-Wan having a conversation about why they didn't tell him. I was like, okay. So basically, they're just trying to bullshit him on why they didn't tell him. Every reason that they gave him is stupid and it doesn't make any sense. It's never made sense to me. So why don't you just tell him? And another thing, they know that Leia is his sister. Why didn't they tell him that?
That's something he can handle.
We'll get to that in a second. But that's just so stupid. Like, why wouldn't you just tell him, oh yeah, your sister's Leia?
Just because they wanted to protect the last hope they have in the galaxy, so if Luke ends up failing, they at least have somebody that neither Vader or the Emperor knows about.
Or maybe Obi-Wan and Yoda wanted to create the next Jerry Springer episode in the galaxy. I don't know, I'm curious.
I mean, that's what they say.
It's not a far-fetched.
Speaking of that, he gets the news that Leia and him are sisters, and he's just like, oh. That's the reaction you have? I'm sorry, if that was me...
your sister in episode 5, you had that reaction?
If that was me, I'd be like,
Yeah.
That's fucking disgusting if you ask me.
Yeah.
But regardless, you know, so then this brings us to Endor. They go to Endor because, well, why did they go to Endor? Oh yeah, because like the shield thingy for the Death Star was there, and they needed to take it out. This brings us to a really good scene with Vader. He knows that Luke is on the Millennium Falcon, and he lets him through anyway. I did like that. Oh, excuse me. So then, this brings us to probably the most boring thing ever in this whole trilogy. They go to Endor. I'm not gonna lie, I did not like this part of the movie, and it's not because it's bad, it is because it is so painfully boring. Like, it's painful boring. Like, I did not like a lot of the stuff that happened. Like, there's moments, but like, I know I'm not the only one. You guys didn't like it, right?
The second act? Oh yeah, it was kind of boring. The part was just like, okay, just get to the point, go to the fucking ship already, go, let's go. No time to waste here.
Yeah, so then this brings us to the speeder chase, and it's okay. It doesn't really, I view it as like the pod race scene. in terms of quality, like, I don't know. Like, it's okay. Doesn't really do anything for me. And then this brings us to the Ewoks. Now, I want your guys' opinions on Ewoks before I say my opinion on Ewoks.
I mean, I think they're alright. I mean, they're not like super essential in the story, but it's just like a nice little thing. It's like, oh yeah, these guys exist. It's kind of alright. Kind of makes for some, not a ton of like somewhat comedic scenes.
Kevin?
Most of it I thought was cringy, but there were some parts I was like, actually, that's not bad.
I have the kind of same opinion with
I pretty much the same way. I don't hate the Ewoks. There's a lot of people that take the Ewoks out of proportion. There's some people that, oh, I fucking hate the Ewoks. I hate the Ewoks so much. I hate them. They're annoying. They're a crime against humanity. They don't do anything. They're fine. Like, they do what they gotta do. That's it. Like, what do you have against the Ewoks?
They're not. It's not as bad as say like Jar Jar Binks. It's not
exactly.
That bad.
Nothing is as bad as Jar Jar Binks. If they ever replicated the level of annoyance as Jar Jar Binks, I would be frightened for the human race.
I'd be like, Corona, just take us out already.
Yeah, right? So then this movie slows down a lot. One highlight is when C-3PO and all of them get captured by the Ewoks, and Luke says, use your magic, 3PO, because they think that he's a god. So then Luke uses the Force, obviously, to move 3PO, and the Ewoks freaking praise him like he's Jesus Christ. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that was really funny. That was one of the few scenes I actually liked with the Ewoks in it.
And then 3PO probably has the funniest thing in the funniest scene in the whole movie. He is retelling the events of the original trilogy using sound effects in his head. I laughed so hard at this. It was basically like if you guys have seen the Ant-Man movies when Michael Pena recaps the stuff, those scenes. But I don't know why, it was hilarious just hearing all the sound effects. Like hearing like the fake lightsaber sound effects and the ships blowing up, all the sound effects just sounded hilarious. I don't know, it was so funny. So then Luke and Leia have a conversation, and Luke tells Leia, spills the beans, and Leia, I have questions.
Why did you catch him?
I have questions. That was not...
Is there some weird shit going on here?
First of all, I want to know why Luke didn't even question it. He's just like, oh, alright. I don't know. That was not the brightest reaction to that statement. I would have been like the same way I reacted before. But, you know, I just, you know, that was such a weird thing for her to say. I don't know who wrote that. Whoever wrote that.
Like, why?
Probably wasn't George Lucas, which I got to hope not. So then this brings us to Luke turning himself in, and I like how Vader, like, him and Vader have a conversation about turning to the light, and Vader's like, oh, you don't understand what I'm going through. And I like how Vader's like conflicted about turning to the light. I like that little touch. That's pretty much it. So then this brings us to the throne room sequence, and the Emperor is telling Luke like, oh, you're gonna turn to the dark side now, and Luke's over here, oh yeah, I'm not doing shit, you kiss my ass. So then this brings us to the space sequence, which I fucking love in this movie. It is awesome. I love it.
The sight scene from the Death Star is also really solid too.
Yeah, but
like when Luke is just watching, like the whole battle going on.
That looks a little familiar, Disney. We'll get there. 3 days, we'll get there. So this brings us to probably one of the most famous lines in Star Wars. It's a trap! And the space stuff in this movie is awesome. I love the space stuff in this movie. It's really exciting, you know. I like, for some reason, I really like Lando flying the Millennium Falcon. It's awesome to me, seeing him fly it. And I don't know, like, it's cool, you know. It's fun seeing all the ship. It's always fun watching a Star Wars space sequence, unless your name is Phantom Menace, in which you come off as corny and stupid. But you know, it's cool. So then we get to the throne room sequence, and this is where this movie picks the fuck up. So the Emperor trying to turn Luke, and he's saying to strike the Emperor down and, you know, embrace the hate, so that way he can officially turn to the dark side. Luke instead takes his lightsaber, says fuck you, and draws it and tries to kill Vader, or hit Vader, whatever, and they both clash. And I love the little shot of the lightsabers crossing in front of the Emperor. It's fucking fantastic. Good shit. So right off the bat, I love how the fight between Luke and Vader is very different. It doesn't feel like a rehash of Empire. You know, Empire is very slow paced. It was just methodical. This is, you know, Luke is on a mission. I love it. You know, I love how Luke is just, I don't know. It feels different in a good way, 100%. So then we get to the famous scene where Vader's basically like, oh, if you're not gonna turn, maybe Leia's gonna turn. And Luke fucking loses his shit. The term loses his shit is used lightly. This is the definition of somebody losing their shit. He comes out of nowhere and fucking beats the shit out of Vader. And he cuts his arm off. And then he realizes what he's done. And he's like, I'm never gonna turn to the dark side. And the Emperor says, you know what, I gotta do everything myself. Fuck this clown. And he starts electrocuting him. Now, I've heard theories that when this was happening, Luke was getting more powerful and that he was eventually gonna beat the Emperor. I don't know. Like, I want to think that, but then I don't. I don't know. That's a weird theory to have. I don't doubt it, though, because he's Luke Skywalker. But I won't complain. So, fuck. This leads to Vader killing the Emperor, and they added in the no line in the special effect, in the special edition, which I guess I don't have an issue with it. A lot of people did, but whatever, it's whatever. So, and you know, I find it fucked up that everybody's just walking past him. I'm like, why would you walk past him? Like, that's Vader. I don't know. I found that so weird. But we get that shot, and Vader wants to see his son once and for all. And I love, yeah, I love the look of Vader under the helmet. It's great. I love the conversation. It's brief, but you know, it works. And Vader dies. A legend dies in the Star Wars universe. He went down as a hero. So then we also get the stuff on the moon. The Ewoks beat the stormtroopers. I guess it's fine. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and bitch and complain about Ewoks. You know, if you want to bitch and complain about teddy bears being stormtroopers, you know, that's fine. The third act ends with the Millennium Falcon destroying the new Death Star in an amazing scene where they blow up the Death Star and the Millennium Falcon's charging out of there and the fire's right behind it and it's roaring and the freaking Millennium Falcon bursts out of the Death Star. Death Star blows up. Lando and company are screaming, yeah, we did it, wow! It's freaking amazing. I love it. So then Vader gets a funeral of a Jedi, which I love that Luke, despite Vader being, you know, a dick. You know, he still gave him the funeral of a Jedi. I love that Luke still viewed him like that. I love it. And you know, the last like 2 minutes of this movie is just it warms your heart. Seeing everyone celebrating, you know, everyone's coming back to Endor, you know, hugs, you see the Force ghosts of Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda. And that's how the saga ended until we got Force Awakens. But yeah, that's the end of the original trilogy. Overall, obviously this is the best trilogy. Obviously this is the best trilogy. I'm not even gonna spoil that fact before we get into the Disney trilogy in a couple of minutes, but you know, this is easily the best trilogy. It had a roadmap, you know, it was consistent. All 3 movies are good. I don't think Return of the Jedi is bad. It's in terms of like, I don't know. I guess in terms of quality, it's a disappointment because it's not as good as Empire, which is, it's always disappointing when the middle chapter of a trilogy sets the tone for, you know, the trilogy, and the 3rd movie isn't as good. You know, I think Winter Soldier did that perfectly for Civil War to be just as good, and it was. But that's it. That's gonna do it for Return of the Jedi. It's a great, I mean, it's a really good, really good Star Wars movie. Not great, but that's the end of the original trilogy. We're gonna be back in a couple of minutes doing The Force Awakens, which I might. Alright, thank you guys so much for listening. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and look out for more reviews really soon. See ya.